And now I'm going to go inside and talk to you about our sixth sense that we all have and most of us don't use because we don't know it's there. And we think that the sixth sense is some woo-woo thing or some, I don't know, for people who are weird or people who have special abilities. And what I now understand is that the only special ability anybody needs is to develop something that's already inside them. Excuse me. Just drop this in here. Go into the quiet and get on with it, talking about it. So, oh my God, it is so nice to have a day when it's not raining. As much as I appreciate rain, I'm a gardener, what can I say? When it rains and rains and rains, even I get a bit over it. So, and I did, but can't really complain about the weather. There's no tornado, there's no hurricane, no complaints. So, today, if I didn't know, which I do already, that all the information that any human needs to be able to navigate their life is totally inside them, I would now. So I've been writing, about navigating through life. And most people use their mind, their brain, their thinking piece to make choices and make decisions and gather information and consult people. And that is fine. You should do that. You need to do that. But we have two other brains in our body. We have a big brain in our heart, and we have an actually much bigger brain in our gut. And I've been writing about the brain and the gut and how it fits in the whole picture of things and what it does. And even if you just look at what it does to run your digestion, it's pretty amazing. I talked about that last week. I'm not going to talk about it again. If you want to hear me rave about it, go to patreon.com, God of Me, and you can watch that video there for free. No problem. Or it's on YouTube. What I'm writing about this week is something that I started to talk about last week, which is interoception, which is really cool. Hi, Kimber. Lovely to see you. Interoception is a sense that most people don't know they have. And interoception is what you have if you took away your eyes and your ears and your nose and your mouth and your skin. So everything that takes information from outside of you, if you take all of that away, in other words, you put yourself in a sensory deprivation tank, what do you have left? You have interoception. You probably have a bunch of other stuff that I don't know about as well, because humans actually have 21 senses, and I know about that because I've done just a little bit of research, enough to be dangerous, and there are 21 ways that information gets gathered and goes to the brain, and people with sensory processing disorders will tell you all about that. That's not what I'm talking about today. Interoception is the sense, is the body giving information to the brain, and the brain kind of makes a picture, makes a sound, makes a thought, makes a sensation. Something's going on inside me. And the most basic and obvious way that interoception tells you stuff is, oh, geez, I'm hungry. Oh, man, I'm tired. That's actually your sense of interoception that gives you that information. And it's, nerves and things communicating and chemistry that your body makes, it all of that happens. But what I have been doing for a long time, and just did not know that this is what it is I use this inner sense in my body, this ability to receive information, or to not just receive, but also to interpret information. That's another story. But you got to start off by getting the information. I have a really finely developed sense of interoception, which allows me to receive the information that I want and use it to navigate my life. And while the information that contributes to that is actually, it's all through my body, I'm kind of using the thought of using our enteric nervous system, because that is literally the third brain. It is now called the third brain because it is. It's the most biggest collection of neurons apart from the brain itself. The heart brain is actually smaller, right? So that I'm using, interoception is bigger than the brain in your gut. But we do a lot of sensing and feeling with our gut. And the explosion in my head was realizing, oh my God, it's interoception that is allowing me to get information about my future, about my past, from beings that don't have bodies. And if that makes you sort of go, well, it's just a reality to me. And it doesn't mean I'm weird. Well, it probably does mean I'm weird if you're one of those people that thinks that's weird. It doesn't mean that I don't function in this world or that I'm disconnected from three-dimensional reality. What it does mean is that if I use my eyes and my ears and my thinking brain and my nose and my mouth and my skin, and I gather all this information, and I've got a decision to make, and I really don't know, even though I've done all of that, it means I've got more places to go for information than saying, well, shit, I don't know. And the information isn't available, and I'm kind of stuffed. And, and most people think, oh, well, right, so you're psychic or whatever. Well, I suppose you could say that. But what I now understand is it's not psychic. There's a real physical explanation for how this works, and that's what I find really exciting. So interoception happens because there is information being exchanged between the body and the brain, and there's chemistry that gets exchanged between the body and the brain. And there's not that much research that's been done on it yet, by the way. It's not nearly as much work being done on researching interoception as there is on exteroception. You know, your eyes and your ears and everything else, there's quite a lot known about those, but the research about what's going on inside us and how that informs us is not very much. So, okay, how is it that I believe that there's more to it than that, which I truly do believe there is? Well, now I have to go to the other sort of extreme and talk about protons for a minute. And if you've been following God and me for a while, this won't surprise you, but you may think, what the hell do protons have to do with navigating my life? Well, protons make up all of the matter in the universe. That's pretty much an acknowledged fact. Yeah, there are electrons and all these other bits and pieces, but protons are really, really stable, and they make up, they're the foundation of all matter. If you take any, like, what am I saying? A hydrogen atom, it's got 4 protons in the middle and a few electrons whizzing around it. And the electrons are next to nothing. The protons are like most of the matter of the thing, and then there's a whole bunch of empty space. And we talked all about that months ago, and it's all on God of Me on patreon.com. If you want to go look, there's a link underneath this post. It's all available for free. So the thing about protons is that all of the protons in the universe are connected. They all talk to each other. The connections between them are called Einstein-Rosen bridges, and they were discovered a long time ago, or at least theorized a long time ago. But now I think they've actually been sort of recognized and measured. You know, there's laboratory proof to show that. Hi, Nikki! So all the protons are connected. And someone has done the math to realize how it is that how fast it is that information communicates between the protons. And all the protons in the whole universe are connected, right? All of them. They're all connected with these teeny tiny little wormholes called Einstein-Rosen bridges. And none that are on their own, they're all connected. And the math that's been done pretty much shows that they all communicate with each other the amount of time it takes is actually the time it takes for one proton to spin. Once. And protons spin pretty damn fast. So the universe communicates with itself way faster than the speed of light. Because if you think about it, if something happens on one side of the universe and it has to go to the other side of the universe would be so out of date. It'd fall apart because it wouldn't be communicating with each other. You know, I mean, it's like if you hit your hand with a hammer and it hurts, but that message doesn't get to your brain until a month later when you've got gangrene because the finger got broken and it needed surgery or stitching or whatever, but you don't know about it for a month, so you die. Well, the universe would fall apart if it couldn't communicate with itself that fast. It makes sense to me. It's not just theory. This is actual math that's been done, and the math is actually math that unifies Physics from the size of the universe to the Earth to the stars to the galaxies to the proton and smaller, and it's this fractal thing, and it's gorgeous. I love it. Who could be so excited about math, but really, I mean, physics, wow! So, getting back to the protons. The protons are all connected. Did you know that your body is made of protons? Geez, if you could find a way to communicate with or access the information in just one of your protons, you can access all the information in the universe. This isn't bullshit. It's actually fact. And what has blown my mind is realizing that in my own way, learning and practicing and becoming, more skilled for myself and with others if they want me to. I'm not just going to do it because it takes effort and concentration and I might be busy doing something else. I can do that. I can absolutely do that for myself now. I know how to do it. It's a skill. And if it's a skill, maybe I can teach it to other people. Maybe they can learn how. Maybe they can just realize. I mean, it's mind-blowing. If you think, oh my God, so the people who are psychic, all it is that they unconsciously generally, that they somehow know how to access this information, but actually it's there for everybody. And by the way, if that proton's in a neuron in your brain, well, how do you think that intuition works? You get a thought that comes on, or you just get a feeling, a hit in your chest or your gut, or you want to put your hand somewhere and you just think, hell no. How do you think that information comes? This, I believe, is my experience of how it comes. And so, that's why I'm so excited about interoception, because I think it might not be the only way that our intuition, psychic abilities, whatever hoo-ha word you want to use to describe them is, but I think this is how it works. I do, because I use it. I've been using this for years, decades, and not knowing that this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm kind of excited about. Geez, I wonder if I can teach this. So these are the notes I made about all that I was going to say today now that I've nearly run out of time. It's all within you is true. It's literally all within you. One proton, never mind, all the trillions and gazillions of however many protons there are in your body. Someone's done the math, I don't remember. So all of that information is within you. You just got to know how to access it, right? Interoception gives you access to vast information in your body, but your body's made of protons. All the protons are connected. When one proton anywhere gets a change in its information, so in other words, you have an aha moment. How do you think that affects your protons? The universe knows about that because they're all connected instantly. You change the universe. It's true. You might think, oh, come on, I don't notice, but that's not the point. Everything is connected. This is how entanglement works. Quantum entanglements. Einstein didn't like it. He found that it was a thing and he didn't like it, and he called it spooky action at a distance. But this is how it works. Literally. So now there's some other mathematics that I can't even summarize because I just haven't studied it enough. But this guy called Nassim Haramein, he'd done some math, and I mean like 12 to 14 years ago now, where he came up with this thing called the holographic solution. And in short, what the math shows and what I find practically, and maybe it's all made up in my head, but if you go and do the study, it's kind of amazing, is that he did all this mathematics and he found the entire mass of the universe inside one proton. It was weird. It's not the literal mass, but it was, Bernadette, it was, I can't remember, okay? I don't know it well enough to explain it, but it's mind-blowing. And I mean, can you imagine doing the calculations because you're trying to work out all the stuff about the proton, and you think, oh, I wonder how much that is. And it comes up with the mass of the universe, and you're not expecting that. Imagine what that's like. Wow. And what we find, what he's found, and what I experience, is that, I mean, and it actually makes sense. You've got to have the mass of the universe inside the proton as well as outside, or it'd implode on itself. There's such a lot of pressure on the outside, it's got to have some pressure on the inside to keep it being a round proton instead of a little thing that would, you know? So, what if our interoception is our doorway to all of that information? Because whether you say, oh, well, you know, I can go, ooh, and I can feel stuff, because we can all, you know, have you ever sat in a room and you were distracted and you're talking to somebody and then you sort of, without even noticing, you think, what's going on? Have you ever felt things change and you don't know why, and you look around and some other person's walked into the room and they're in a really foul mood and the whole room sort of goes quiet? How did you know that? How did you feel it when you were still busy talking to your friend? I maintain this is part of the story. This is how we do it. So that's what I was writing about today, and the piece that the 0 Point Field and I started, but I'm not going to really talk about because I'm run out of time and because it's only half done, is, okay, now we need an experience. It's all very well to say, okay, well, that's really cool, but okay, what do I do with it? So now we're writing an experience, something, an exercise that you can try out. And we will have that done next week. And if you follow me for free on God of Me, you'll only get 3 emails a week. And if you choose not to support me with money, which is fine, well, then only 2 of them are relevant to you. And one of them will be about this live. So if you've already watched it, you'll only want to watch the one that's in between, which is where I read what we've written each week. And you can listen, you can learn, you can follow along. So next week, there will be an experience for you to explore your interoception. And this week, the reading will be all about this. But it'll be the way that the 0 Point Field says it, which is much more concise. But, you know, I love being able to turn up and show my garden, share my garden. If you haven't seen it, go back to the beginning when I'm done, which I nearly am, because it's beautiful right now. And sort of think out loud and tell you, well, this is what it's like and why it's so amazing. And part of what I did today is I actually had to go back in what we have written earlier and make sure that what I was saying was consistent. And it was. There was some things I had to untangle in what I'd written earlier because I thought, man, that's confusing. And I don't want it to be confusing. And I know that when this gets closer to being published as whatever it is, I'm going to have to edit the whole lot again. But that's life when you're writing. So this is what we've done this week, and I think it's so cool because one proton and interoception and the very nerves and chemistry and everything that your body uses to do that, just to run itself, never mind to access the information that's available to you. It's all tied up with that. It's all made of protons, and all those protons are connected to all the information. And in the writing, I don't mention it because we haven't talked about it yet, the 0 Point Field and I. But that's not just now, and it's not just in your past. It's in your future as well. Because time doesn't really exist. And I understand that as a physical fact better now too. It's not just some hoodly-floozly concept. Time is just another function of the 0 Point Field doing its thing. So, I'm going to stop now. Thank you so much for joining and listening. And if you're on YouTube, thanks so much. I invite you to like and share and subscribe if you want to. And if you want to check me out on God of Me on Patreon, that'd be cool. I'd love to see you there. Big love. I'll be back in a week. Bye-bye. Hi, beautiful. Lovely to see you. Out here in my front garden where spring is doing its thing. I'm going to show you around before I get into talking about our sixth sense and what the 0 Point Field and I have been writing about today for God of Me. But let me show you the world. So there is the garden. Now the Spiraxis, I'm a little bit disappointed because it rained. It rained a lot, and you know, a few days ago the flowers were all as bright, and now you can see that they have had a rough time. But it's still pretty impressive. And there are lilies coming, struggling their way up through them. I didn't manage to do the perfect thing this year, which would have made it easier for them to get up through them. But let me show you. This is what lilies are supposed to look like when they're coming up. They don't have competition. There are weeds, but, you know, that's a garden. And this is really the time of the cinerarias. It is just coming into colour. And the bees are enjoying them. Look at this little one doing its job. You can see the pollen on its leg. It's just busy being a bee. And in between the cineraria we have roses that have leaves on them, which is all they do at this time of the year. This thing, whose name I'm going to have to look up with a Google lens again because I've forgotten, it's a hydrangea relative. But look, it's got flowers coming and it's looking like a real thing. I think I've had it for 3 years and it grows pretty quick. So I'm enjoying that, and I'm enjoying the neighbour's maple because the foliage is so pretty. And look, we have a little casualty here. See, this purple thing is sort of fallen over and a bit unhappy. It's been really, really windy, so things get blown over. But look at this. Isn't it beautiful? And there are so many different colours because, and look, this one's a bit old. It has been flowering for a while. But if you take a look at that, it's quite gorgeous in its agedness. So I enjoy this plant, the cinerarias, in all their variety. And look, there's a light pinky white one here. Looking forward to seeing that one come out. Look at the teeny tiny baby bumblebee. It's so cute. Busily doing its thing. It doesn't mind that the flowers have had a lot of rain on them. It's going yum yum, pollen. So yeah, the garden is all happening. And look, see, I pruned these fuchsias and now they're coming back. And you got to do that or they get leggy and then they get miserable. So the bluebells are full on and I'm loving them. I always do every year. They're fantastic. And yeah, wow. And look at the pink of another cineraria in the back. And the best piece is, ta-da! The cherries coming out. So this is the time. This is the time in this garden when it's all just happening. And finally, the weather is good. I'm outside. It's not raining. And I can show you the cherry blossom. Isn't it beautiful? So there you go. And we'll just say hello to the magnolia because it's so lovely. Need to bring this back to normal size. Sorry, that wasn't a very nice zoom. But look at it. It's just lovely. So yeah, welcome to my outdoor space. This is the best time of year and everything's coming. And I want you to see this, even though it's a bit weedy. I've got some plants in here, some cuttings that I've struck. And I don't know if you can see. Hi, Julian. Look, this is just a cutting and it's already got flowers on it. That's crazy. So yeah, this one's growing. Can you see? You might not be able to. It's got sprouts coming. A lot of these have died, but I think I've counted 6 fuchsia plants that I've got that have taken root there. So I'm just enjoying the fact that 1, this is all happening, and look, the Rangiora flowers. 1, it's happening, and 2, it's not raining, so I can show you. So this is a New Zealand native, and it's pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to go inside now, and turn the camera around. There we go. Turn the camera around and tell you what I've been doing for God and me. I'll tell a fib. I have to show you this here because it's so fantastic and so abundant. Look at this. This amazing calendula. It's so bright. And see, you've got one here with a yellow middle, and then this is the normal one with a dark middle. And they're so beautiful. There's so many flowers. We grow them. You can eat them, these flowers. They're very nice in a salad. And the other thing that's going on, apart from all these green things, is the sedum is flowering. And I really like sedum flowers. They're very cute and sweet. And I love the fractal shapes of the sedum cactus itself. Well, it's a succulent, not really a cactus. There's no prickles. So I wanted you to see that.